बोलिए लाडली लाल की, श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की। अज्ञान तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन कृपालु गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यम् भक्तिमूलं गुरोर्कृपा। हृदं भोजे कृष्णः सजलजलदश्यामलतनुः सरोजाक्षः स्रग्वीमुकुटकटकाद्या भरणवान् शरद्राकानाथ प्रतिमवदनः श्रीमुरलिकां वहन्ध्येयो गोपीगण परिवृतः कुङ्कुमचितः। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तद्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। For a few minutes we'll chant Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal
हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण 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 हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। राधा रमण हरि
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय
जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय
राधा रमण हरि गोविंद जय जय।
बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की Respected devotees, correct knowledge leads to correct actions. Incorrect knowledge leads to wrong actions. Same thing applies with the path of God realization. If one has found a correct path, he may proceed rapidly on his path to God. And if not, he or she may spend their entire life following their accepted path with no avail. Because the path, their accepted path, was not correct. Nowadays, in this age of Kali, the effects of Kali Yuga are so vigorously prevalent in the society. The thousands of fictitious paths are being articulated and propagated by the so-called teachers, preachers, sadhus, yogis, monks, mahants, pontiffs, and teachers. God-fearing, simple-hearted people fall for them. And as a result, they remain bereft of the true devotional benefit, in spite of their faithful services that they offer to their teachers. It is such an age that even a true aspirant of God finds it very difficult to find a true path to God. Thus, to guide and to inspire deserving souls, the supreme power in its full magnificence descended on this earth as our beloved Gurudev, Bhakti Yoga Rasa Avatar Jagadguru Shree Kripalu Ji Maharaj, whose satsangs, teachings, speeches, and association have shattered the cloud of spiritual confusions and showed the true, simple, and most effective path for the realization of the divine love of Sri Radha Krishna, which can be followed by anyone aspiring, desiring God's love. For the spiritual welfare and the well-being of souls, he himself revealed 1,008 pad songs of Radha Krishna Leelas, humbleness in the philosophy of divine love, which a devotee can practice to evolve his feelings of love and affinity, love and longing for his soul beloved Radha Krishna, and to feel their intimate closeness. The pad which I have chosen from Prem Ras Madira is from Siddhant Madhuri. Sri Maharaj Ji advises and tells the souls about the extreme preciousness of human life, which is the only opportunity of God realization. The deceptiveness and the elusive nature of worldly relations and entertainments, the disastrous consequences of carelessly wasting time, and this opportunity, and the infinite grace of Sri Radha Krishna upon you in all the souls. Sri Maharaj Ji advises the devotee to wholeheartedly surrender to the lotus feet of his true divine friend and soul beloved Radha Krishna, so that he can be free from the bondage of Maya and perceive the bliss of the loving Leelas of Sri Radha Krishna with their grace. Using a very potent self-education system, Sri Maharaj simulates himself as a devotee and says, Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat
Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat
Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat man,
Chaar Dina ki बात अरे मन
चार दीना की 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 बात अरे मन
Oh, my mind, this worldly charm is only for 4 days, meaning it is fleeting, diminishing, short-lived. Please note that the mind is being addressed here. The internal machinery consisting of the mind, the intellect, and our sanskars, subtle impressions left on the mind due to activities of the past lives, is collectively known as antahkarana. Let us try and understand what antahkarana is. Antaha means internal, and karana means that which works. So, antahakaran means internal machinery. According to the Gita, antahakaran is a combination of two things, the mind and the intellect. Mayyeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya. So the antahakaran is a combination of the mind and the intellect. How does this system work? What does the mind do? So the mind initially grasps the objects of sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch with the help of the senses. Without the involvement of the mind, the senses cannot do anything. If the mind is preoccupied, then we do not hear, see, or smell anything. If we fall asleep during a lecture or during a kirtan session, then we do not hear anything, all the words are entering our ears. So it is the mind that grasps the objects via the senses, with the help of the senses. Now the mind begins the thinking process. So what does the mind do? The mind perceives the objects of the senses. And whatever it perceives, the object that it perceives, it analyzes it. Generates options regarding the object that it perceives. Is this a woman or a man? Should I look upon this person with love, with hatred, or indifference? Will my self-interest be helped or harmed? At this point, the work of the mind stops, and it relays this information, this message, to the intellect, the central government. The intellect, in turn, makes a decision. This person is no one to you, move on. So we pass that person by, according to the decision of the intellect. In this way, when you're in the market, you come across so many people, hundreds of people. And the mind keeps telling you, he is no one to you, she is no one to you, move on, keep moving, keep moving. And you remain indifferent to anyone and everyone that you see. But the moment you spot a friend, you become happy. And you stop and immediately greet that person. Hi, how are you? When did you come? Now, this joyful reaction takes place only because the intellect is telling the mind that this person is dear to you. So he or she should be greeted accordingly. Until then, the intellect did not instruct the mind to greet anyone. So the work of the mind takes place twice. First, it grasps the objects, makes an analysis, sends that information to the intellect, and the second time it receives the decision of the intellect. So the intellect tells the mind to give instructions, and the mind in turn tells the senses, look at this person lovingly, smile at this person, do this, behave in this way. So this is how our internal machinery works, even though we may not realize it, we may not think about it. Now, what is the practical implication of this? When someone who is wise sees the objects of the senses, relays that information, his mind relays that information to the intellect. Now, the intellect, being firm in the understanding and the knowledge received from the spiritual master, takes a decision. This is not mine. This object is not going to give me the fulfillment that I seek. No. So the intellect directs the sense mind, tells the mind not to direct the senses there. So the mind does not object, and nor do the senses. Why would they? They are mere servants. They only do as they are told. That is all they do. Just as if a horse is instructed to take a particular path, it does so. If the driver of a car turns the wheels toward a particular road, they do not object. They simply follow the directions of the driver. That is what they do. They have nothing to lose. No, they simply follow the directions of the driver, irrespective of the direction of the path. So the mind and the senses do not have an objection. So it is the intellect which is most important. Everything depends on the decision of the intellect. This is why we require the power of discrimination. And without discrimination, our common sense of infinite lifetimes, it tells us that the world is ours. People are running after the world, even in old age, even after retirement. If a man does not have a wife and children, he finds another's wife and children to serve. If he does not have a child, he will adopt one and raise that child for years. In this way, we knowingly bring upon ourselves the anxieties and the frustrations and the tensions accompanying worldly attachments. So our intellect is responsible for the quandary we are in. We will have to be very careful not to, until our intellect, becomes decisive. And the intellect will become decisive only when we will directly perceive the presence of Shyam Sundar, Sri Radha Krishna, and attain their divine bliss. Until then, the danger of downfall remains at every step. Therefore, we should never harbor this pride that, I know it all and nothing can disturb me. No. We should never think of ourselves to be so advanced that we can ignore that danger. We may have rowed 190 yards of a river that may be 200 yards wide, but we have not yet reached the other shore. And if we choose to leave the safety of the boat and attempt to jump to the other shore, we may still drown. So until we reach the safety line, that is, see God, perceive God face to face, we should never think that we are not prone to downfall. Divine knowledge is absolutely imperative, indispensable on the path of divine love realization. And that knowledge we have to comprehend through the intellect, which is, or the power of the intellect, which is the faculty of discrimination. In the subsequent lines, Sri Maharaj reveals the secrets imbued within this profound statement of his, that, oh mind, this world is only for 4 days, the worldly charm. Let's find out. Chaar Dina ki baat Are man
Chaar Dina ki baat Are man
Naratanu Sharad Chandni बीते
नरतनु शरद चांदनी बीते
पुनि अंधियारी रात अरे मन
पुनि अंधियारी रात हरे मन
चार दिना की बात अरे मन
चार दिना की बात अरे मन
अरे मन
अरे मन
अरे मन There are 8.4 million species of life and existence on this earth. देह का प्रकार तो है गोविंद राधे लख 84 योनि बता दे. Radha Govind Geet. We have seen many of them. They come in different shapes, colors, and sizes. Some, such as man and higher animals, they are born from the womb. Some, such as birds and sea animals, are born from egg. Some, such as worms and insects, are born from moisture. And others, such as plants and trees, are born from the earth. Amongst all the living creatures belonging to the 8.4 million species of life, of living beings, it is only the human that has been given great importance and attention by all the scriptures, from the Vedas to the Ramayana. Vedavyas, the propagator of the 18 Puranas, and a descension of God, emphasizes the immense significance of human life. And he says that Durlabho manusho deho dehinam kshanabhangurah Bhagavatam. Human life is the most difficult to attain. The rarity of human birth is evident from the fact that merely 7 billion humans inhabit this earth, whereas we can easily find hundreds of thousands of tiny little creatures in a 1-foot deep hole. So just imagine how few humans there are in comparison to other living beings. In the Narad Puran, Vedavyas says, Durlabham manusham janma prarthyate tridashairapi. This human birth, human form, is desired by all living beings. All living beings beg the Supreme Lord for this precious human life. Why? The Mahabharata gives us the answer. Namanushat shreshthataram hikinchit. No form of life is superior to the human form. Further, the Mahabharata states, Janmantara sahasrestu manushyatvam hi durlabham. After thousands of births, it is so extremely difficult. It is most difficult to attain the rarest and the most desirable birth as a human. Vedavyas again declares in the Bhagavatam, Nidehamadyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadharam mayanukule nana bhasvateritam puman bhavabdhim natarets atmaha. You have been provided this most competent, this human body, which is the most competent vessel. It is propelled by the favorable wind of my grace and steered by an expert guide in the form of a guru. In spite of being blessed with these 3 precious gifts, if you still fail to make an attempt to cross the ocean of Maya, then you are a true slayer of your very soul. Tulsidashi states exactly the same in the Ramayana. He says, Naratanubhava baridhi kahu bero sanmukha maruta anugraha mero karanadhar sadguru dridhanava duralabha saj sulabha karipava. This human body is a veritable raft to take one across the ocean of Maya. It is propelled by God's grace, by the wind in the form of God's grace, and steered by an expert helmsman. This combination, though difficult to secure, has been made easily available. Goswami Tulsidas Ji says, again in the Ramayana, Bade bhag manush tanu pava sura duralabha sadgranthani gava. You have attained this human birth due to great fortune. It is even inaccessible to the celestial gods, and its glories are sung by the scriptures. Further, Goswami Tulsidas Ji says, Kabahu kari karuna nar dehi deta ish binu hetu sanehi. Rarely does God, who selflessly loves the souls, bestows upon them this precious human life. Hari ki kripa te kabhu Govind Radhe Naratanu mile Vaya yun hi na gavade. Radha Govind Geet. Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya, he tells us, Durlabham trayamevaitat daivanugrahakarakam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha sambhavah. Being born a human, having a desire for God, hunger for God, and meeting with a true God-realized personality are the three most rare things to attain in a given lifetime. But even out of these three revealed, described by Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya, attaining a human form is extremely important, because it is only after receiving a human birth can we acquire a hunger for God and receive saintly association. So Shankaracharya further says, Manuja dehamimam bhuvi durlabham samadhigam yasurai rapivanchitam vishayalam patitam apahaya vai bhajatare manujah Kamalapatim. He tells us, rather he warns us. He says that you have received this precious human birth after millions of lifetimes. So instead of running after the pleasures of the world, the mundane pleasures of the world, strive to reach your goal of perfection. So all the scriptures declare, they emphasize the rarity and the importance of this human birth that we have. Chaar Dina chandni hai Govind Radhe Puni andhiyari raat mudha dhyan na de. Radha Govind Geet. So this human birth, the golden days of this human birth will only last for so many days. This human birth is like that Sharad Purnima, the full moon, the best full moon of the year. So all the scriptures are telling us to avail of this opportunity, and if we don't, then what will happen? Ihache dashakat bodhum ihache davedi datha satyamasti nache diha vedin mahati vinashtihi. Keno Upanishad. If we won't, then what will happen is that we will inflict great harm upon ourselves. And what is that? So Shankaracharya tells us, and he says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha sansare khalu dustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare, bhaj govindam, bhaj govindam, govindam bhaj mudhamate. He says that if we don't make an effort, despite this incredibly special grace of God upon us, then we will be compelled to repeatedly take birth, enter the womb of a mother hanging upside down, full of intense suffering. We will be subjected to the cycle of birth and death repeatedly. Therefore, avail yourself of this precious, golden opportunity. Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
Chaar Dina ki baat are man,
tu sovat kachu janat nahi.
tu sovat kachu janat nahi,
काल लगायो घात अरे मन,
काल लगायो घात हरे मन,
चार दिना की बात अरे मन,
चार दिना की बात हरे मन.
Unfortunately, a great majority of people, humans, are in fact slayers of their very souls. We live our life typically with our physical welfare in mind, paying very little or no attention to the well-being of our soul. There's an incident from the life of Saint Kabir. It is said that whenever he walked by the certain place in Banaras, he would always find a man sitting in his garden. So one day, Saint Kabir, he stopped and suggested, "Sir, instead of sitting idly in your garden, you could better spend your time in spiritual sadhana and spiritual meditation." So the man replied, "I have very young children, and I will be able to afford time for spiritual sadhana only after they have grown up. So after some time, when Saint Kabir met that man again, he asked him, "So are you finding time now, after the children had grown up?" He said, "I must wait for my children to get married and look after themselves independently. And then I will be able to afford time for spiritual sadhana." So after the children were married, once again, Saint Kabir, he met this man. And he said, your children are now married, so no doubt you're devoting time for sadhana. So the man said, "I am eager to see my grandchildren grow up and get married." So after that had happened, Kabir Das asked him, "So what is your position now?" So the man said, "I am eager to make sure that my grandchildren are safe and sound. They're actually very careless. And therefore, it is very important for me to look after the house at night. For if I were careless also, then thieves would enter the house and steal little that we have." So some years later, Kabir Das again visited the man's house and inquired where the old man was. And the sons and the grandsons told him that he had died, he had passed away. So Kabir Das said, "Oh, what a pity. Poor man, his life was wasted following the orders and the demands of his worldly mind, which led him into his deep attachment to his family and his beasts. And even a few moments only of love for God would have started to end his imprisonment here. When the man was alive, he was very attached to his family. And he usually looked after the cows and the buffaloes. He was particularly attached to one cow. So when he died, he reincarnated as her calf. When he grew up to be a bullock, he was hitched to the plow. And when he was unable to do that work, he was hitched to the cart. And some 10 years later, when he was not able to do even that work, he was sent to the butcher, who sold his flesh and used the hide to make drum. And anytime anyone beat that drum, it would repeat this refrain: "I came as a bullock, was hitched to the plow, put to the cart, and when I was not able to do that work, I was sent to the butcher, who cut me into pieces and sold my flesh as meat, and hide being used for the drum. And whatever karma was left, now I'm receiving blows every moment with the beating of the drum. And I'm continually in misery." This story illustrates that we also have wasted so many lifetimes in pursuit of mundane, worldly pleasures. And we will continue to do so unless and until we realize the precious value of this human birth. Along with realizing the value of this life, we should also reflect on the transience of this life. Because our life is as uncertain as a bubble that appears in water, only to disappear the next. Ayu jala bula bula गोविंद राधे जाने कब फूट जाए मन को बता दे आयुष्यं जललोल बिंदु चपलं फेनोपनम जीवितम पानी केरा बुदबुदा असमानस की जाती देखत ही छिप जाएंगे ज्यों तारा पर भाती. So some die right in the mother's womb, some immediately after birth, some in the prime of their youth. Contrary to popular belief, death does not wait for us to turn old. No. I'd like to relate an incident from the life of Ramakrishna Paramhans. He was an ardent devotee of Mother Kali. He developed the cancer of the throat. What to speak of those days? Even today, there's no surefire cure for cancer. Everyone knew that the saint's death was imminent. But he had gained renown as in Calcutta and Bengal as a saint who had transformed many lives. So people went to him and said, to rid yourself of cancer is a child's play for you. Why don't you ask Mother Kali to cure you and your cancer will disappear? What is something as trivial as cancer for someone who is capable of removing Maya? So to this, Ramakrishna Paramhans, he replied sternly, should I divert my mind from my body to worrying, from my mother to worrying about cancer? And why should I ask her to do such dirty work for me? I have loved her with a desire to serve her only. I cannot engage in such pettiness and ask for her help for the sake of this wretched body. And even if I'm cured, my time, I will have to leave my body at the appointed time, at the destined time. Whether it is a sage, an ascetic, a saint, a yogi, even God does not remain in this world, on this earth, even a moment longer than his scheduled time. So, even though people in the world may say that such and such a person died of cancer, such and such a person died of heart attack, but it was not the attack of the heart, it was the attack of death. It was the attack of death. Mrityu. It is so extremely powerful. It doesn't matter. Death does not spare anybody, old or young, wise or foolish, beautiful or ugly. It doesn't matter who it is. There was once death. He came to a man and he said, come with me. Today is your day. So the man said, I'm not ready. So Dad said, well, your name is the first on my list. So the man said, well, why don't you come on in, have a seat, I'll give you something to eat. So he was invited and he brought him food, but he actually had mixed, he mixed sleeping pills in the food. So, so Dad, he ate the food and he went into a slumber. He fell asleep. So, in the meantime, this man thought he was so clever. He removed his name from the top of the list and put it at the bottom. So when Death woke up and he said, you're such a kind man. You've been so kind to me. You greeted me. You fed me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from the bottom. He said, I'll start from the bottom. Yes. So Death does not spare anybody. Yes, it doesn't spare anyone. So that's why Prahlad, when he taught those little children of the demons, he told them, Kaumar acharit pragyo dharman bhagavata niha kohi janati kasyadya mrityu kalo bhavishyati. Shri Maharaj Ji tells us, Radhe Radhe Bol Man Govinda Radhe Tan Ka Bharosa Nahi Chhana Mein Chhina De. Radhe Radhe Bol Man Govinda Radhe जाने काल कब तेरा टिकट कटा दे. So in this line, Sri Maharaj Ji is alerting us, warning us to wake up from the trance of this illusion and hurry up and do something. Earn devotional merit. Devote our life to devotion, Radha Krishna, before the same thing happens that happened to that guy, before death comes and knocks on our door. Chaar Dina ki baat are man.
Chaar Dina ki baat are man.
Tajatan neend yadapi vishyan ke.
Tajatan neend yadapi vishyan ke.
Chin chin jute khat are man.
Chin chin jute khat are man.
Chaar Dina ki baat are man.
Chaar Dina ki baat are man.
There are two kinds of people in the world. Ignorant, who identify themselves with the body and think of the world as theirs. And there are wise people who identify themselves with the soul and think of Sri Radha Krishna as theirs. In our uncountable past lifetimes, we have considered ourselves to be this body, Time and time again, we have been swayed by the dictates of our intellect, which has told us that we must satisfy the demands of the senses. And as a result of that, we have been running after the world. For as long as we're in this body consciousness, we're incapable of thinking that it is a soul's hunger that has to be appeased. When we realize, understand that we are the soul and a spark of divinity, then only we will be able to look for that fulfillment, that inner joy, that satisfaction through God. Worldly desires are the greatest danger and obstacle for an aspiring individual. Indriyani manah prana atma dharmo dhritir matihi krihi shristej smritihi satyam yasya nashyanti janmana Bhagavatam. The growth of desires in the mind causes the destruction of all the noble faculties of the man. His strength of senses, mind, his vital energy, and that of his body. He loses his sense of righteousness, determination, understanding, good fortune, modesty, prowess, memory, and adherence to truth. The moment a desire appears in the mind, it drives a man insane. Such an individual resorts to telling lies and performing all kinds of evil acts to fulfill his desire. In our uncountable so many lifetimes, we have visited the shrines and the temples of so many different gods and goddesses, desiring one thing or the other. How ironic. God is the embodiment of divine bliss. It's just like going to a sweet shop and asking for shoes. Have we not had enough of this world? Desiring the world from God. Once there was a king, his name was Shree. He asked Naraji to bless him with a son. Naraji thought, what a foolish request. In his infinite lifetimes, sometimes he has one son, sometimes he had two, sometimes he had three, sometimes he had 10, sometimes he had 50 when he was in the body of a cat, dog, or pig. And he's still not satisfied. Anyway, whatever he's asking is nothing so great. I can get him off my back by granting him something so trivial. So Naraji said, okay, go. You'll have a son. So Shree said, I want a son whose body produces gold only. That's what he asked for. So anything that he excretes from his body because of normal bodily functions should become gold. So Naraji thought and he smiled and he said, this king has given an invitation to some very miserable days. So anyway, he was granted a son, and the name of his son was Suvarnashthivi, one who excretes gold. So every day, this little boy, he would excrete 1/2 kilo of gold twice a day. 1 kilo is like 2.2 pounds, so you can think about 1.1 pound of gold twice a day. Anything from his body, mucus, perspiration, any excretion would be gold. So, Shree, he became very wealthy. In fact, his palace, his kingdom was also made of gold. And this attracted the attention of bandits. And kings have limited wealth, but Sree's wealth was growing day by day. It was growing every day. He was multiplying. And such an occurrence cannot remain a secret for too long. So dacoits, they found out and they kidnapped this little boy. Many dacoits, they had to join hands to defeat the king's army. And when it came to deciding on how to divide the spoils of the boy, they decided that everyone would take turns. But as a result, they all started squabbling amongst themselves, and it ended up that they chopped his body into 12 pieces. That's what happened. And what happened in the end, it turned out that nobody got any gold, for one thing, and the king was without a son again. This is the consequence of worldly desires. So this line, it depicts human condition, human nature, that even though we are slapped and kicked with disappointments, we never come out of this illusionary trance of material attractions. Chaar Dina ki baat are man
चार दिया की बात हरे मन
अवसर चूकी फिरिय चौरासी पछितात अरे मन
कर्मी जत पछितात हरे मन
चार दिना की बात अरे मन
चार दिना की बात हरे मन
इह चेत् दशकद्बोद्धुं प्राक् शरीरस्य विस्रसः ततः सर्गेषु लोकेषु sharirattvaya kalpate. The Kathopanishad tells us, if you have not realized God before your death, then inevitably you will fall into the abyss of darkness and suffer for millions of years by taking birth into different life forms. Even though there's no guarantee for even 24 hours that one will remain sound in body and mind, yet people continue to make plans for their future. When the Pandavas, when they were passing their 12 years in exile, Yudhishthir, he met a celestial being at a pond who asked him many questions, one of which was, Kim Ashcharyam, what is the greatest wonder of this world? And Yudhishthir replied, Ahanyahani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam sheshah sthiratvam icchanti kimashcharyamataha param. Every day we see, people are seeing people leaving this world. young or old, and yet the viewer never thinks that he will also die one day. What could be more wondrous than this? This world around us is very sweet looking. It's very sweet looking. And we get caught up in its elusive appearance and forget the true aim of our life. There's a story to illustrate this very point. A man, he used to take his evening walk by the side of a forest. One day, he decided to walk into the forest instead. When he had walked a couple of miles, the sun began setting and the daylight started fading. He turned around to walk out of the forest, but to his dismay, he saw some animals waiting on the other side. These ferocious animals, they started chasing him, and to escape them, he went deeper into the forest. While running, he saw a witch standing with open arms to embrace him. He changed direction and ran perpendicular to the witch and the animals. And by then, it had turned dark. Unable to see much, he ran over a ditch which was covered with vines. So what happened was he fell headlong into the ditch, and his feet became entangled in the vines. And as a result, he was hanging upside down above the ditch. A few moments later, he came to his senses, and he saw a snake at the bottom of the ditch, waiting to bite him if he fell. In the meantime, 2 mice, one black and white, were gnawing away at that branch which the vines were hanging from. To confound his problems, some wasps had gathered and they started stinging him in the face. In this precarious situation, it was seen that this man had a smile on his face. Philosophies, they gathered to wonder why and how this man could be smiling in such a dire strait. They looked up and they saw that there was a beehive from which honey was dripping, and this man was licking that honey. He was so enchanted and so intoxicated with the taste of the marvelous honey that the animals, that he became oblivious of his danger. That's what I'm trying to say. The animals, the witch, the snake, the mice, and the wasps, they're all forgotten. You may think that this man is insane, but this man is every one of us. The forest that he was walking in represents this material world where there's danger at every step. There's danger at every step. And the animals that were chasing him are diseases that appear in the body and they harass us until death. And that witch standing with her open arms to embrace is old age, waiting to embrace us with the passage of time. And the snake at the bottom of the ditch is death, the inevitable death, awaiting us. And the mice, day and night, reducing the span of our life every day, every moment, every passing moment. And the wasps are the innumerable desires that appear in one's mind, that agitate one's mind and cause the individual stress and misery. And the honey represents the sensual pleasures of this world, in which we become so intoxicated that we forget. We forget the actual true aim of our life. It is a divine rule that this human birth, this human life, is the only chance we have to realize our ultimate goal of divine love realization. Because in no other form of life can we strive to reach our goal. Every person when dying recalls his past deeds and repents his wrongdoings. Repents his wrongdoings. He realizes the truth of the fake pleasures and the selfish worldly relations and the attractions of this world. He wants to recoup his loss. But the chance is now gone. It's over. Life is over. That chance is gone. And so the poor individual dies helplessly, hopelessly, and helplessly. So in the last line, Rasika ne kahi Kripalu manu gahu yugala charan jalajat. Emphasizing the importance of this human birth and the preciousness of the opportunity, Sri Maharaj tells us, only 5 minutes remain, and I know I'm going to go over, so please sit back and relax. Yeah, I'm just going to take a few more minutes of your time this evening because I want to finish my lecture. So Sri Maharaj tells us, Hari ki Sharana gahu Govind Radhe Hai hai me kahe Janam gava de Bhajunga bhajunga kahi Govind Radhe काहे अगणित जन्म यूं ही गवा दे अवसर बीत्यो जात गोविंद राधे आज कल परसों में बरसों गवा दे मुट्ठी बांधे आया था तू गोविंद राधे हाथ पसारे जाए मन को बता दे गर्भ से ना लाया कछु गोविंद राधे संग भी न जाए कछु मन को बता दे. Radha Govind Geet. So before his life comes to an end, if an individual heeds to the teachings of Rasic saints and wholeheartedly surrenders to the lotus feet of Sri Radha Krishna, he can cross the ocean of misery and enter the divine abode with their divine grace. So we simply have to surrender to them. Surrender in the devotional sense denotes developing loving affinity for Radha Krishna. Developing that infatuation that we have toward the world, having that same infatuation for Sri Radha Krishna and their divine darshan and their divine seva. We are familiar with how to love, the concept of loving, because we do that in the world. Yes, we love our mother, father, spouse, husband, and everyone. Yes. What happens in this love? We desire to see them. We desire to touch the ones and embrace the ones we love. That is what happens. We want to satisfy all of our senses of sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch. We desire to see them. We desire to see them always. We are under the sway of such emotions. People asked Tulsidas Ji, how dear should Ram be to them? So Tulsidas Ji started to ponder on how to explain this. Because it is very difficult for a saint, even a saint, to explain this. Because no one in the world has the experience of the bliss of loving God. And the so-called worldly love is no comparison at all. So what was he to do? He had to explain it, and that too with a worldly example, so that we, the worldly souls of this world, we could understand it, get some vague idea. To compare the feelings of a passionate man, his feeling of pleasure for a woman, to the feeling that Tulsidas Ji gets from loving Bhagwan Ram is sheer madness. But he had to give us an example so that we can understand, because we can only understand it because of our experience in this world. So Tulsidas Ji gave an example. Kamihi nari pyari jimi. He gave an example, a beautiful example. And he said, so Sri Maharaj Ji said that once, to illustrate this point of Tulsidas Ji, so Sri Maharaj Ji gives an example that once King Akbar, he went out and he disguised himself and he went out into the kingdom to make inquiries. And when it was time to read the namaz, he spread out his holy mat, kneeling on it, he started to pray. Just then a woman came running. She came running and she was so lost. She was going to meet her worldly beloved. And so she was so lost in the anticipation of meeting and embracing her beloved that she inadvertently stepped on that mat. In her state, she did not realize that Muslims consider that holy mat to be a representative of God himself. She did not realize that. So she stepped on it and she kept running. So when King Akbar saw this, he became extremely upset. He was very furious. Anyone would have been furious, let alone the emperor. So he told Birbal, he said, present this woman in the court and think of a punishment more severe punishment than death, the death penalty. Because the death penalty is given even to common criminals. And this woman has committed a crime the likes of which no one has ever committed. No one has ever committed. So there was so much room to walk on. Why did she have to step on the holy mat? I know she did it deliberately. This is what the king said. So renouncing his namaz, he was very upset and he returned to his palace. Anyway, this woman was arrested and presented before him. So he asked her, why did you commit such an atheistic and sinful act? So the woman replied, and she said, my lord, you are the emperor. No one would even do anything like this to an ordinary person. And you claim that I did it. So King Akbar said, I claim? No, you actually did it. So the woman said, now I can frankly say whatever I want to say, because I know that you're going to put me to death. You are going to put me to death. Yes. However, before I die, I wish to say one thing. I wish to say something. So King Akbar said, what do you want to say? So the woman said, my lord, I love a worldly man. And I was so absorbed in his thoughts that I ran over that holy mat, not realizing that I was running into the mouth of death. I did not do it purposefully. I did not do it purposely. No. And who wants to lose their life? And that too for no reason. I was so in a trance induced by the thoughts of my beloved. But my Lord, what I find so truly sorrowful is that you were not totally absorbed in the worship of your divine beloved. Because if you would have been absorbed in his worship, then you would not have noticed me at all. You would not have noticed me. No. Please let the entire world know that you did not acknowledge Allah as your emperor. So Akbar's eyes were filled with tears. He fell at the woman's feet and he said, "You are speaking the truth. I should have been absorbed in the love of my divine beloved God." So this example shows that a person can become absorbed even in worldly love. But in worldly love, it only happens sometimes to a select few people, and only when attachment crosses a certain limit. Only when it crosses a certain limit. The same woman who stepped on the holy mat would have become normal after embracing her beloved, her worldly beloved. If he were to spend all day with her at home, she would start feeling detached from him. She may even say to him, "You know what? I ruined my whole life getting married to you." She would even say that. So absorption in material love is not a permanent state, because there is no real love. There's no question of love in this material world. But temporarily, there can be a sentiment in which there is absorption of the mind. And only when the two, the man and the woman, are overcome by a passionate desire for one another. So Tulsidas ji gave us this example to illustrate that that is the kind of intense love we should have for our beloved Radha Krishna. Just like a passionate man hankering and aspiring for a woman. Yes, so that kind of love we should have for Sri Radha Krishna. So Sri Maharaj ji in this pad has graced us with so much inspiration and hope that we as individuals should pay heed to his divine words, to his divine teachings, and wholeheartedly surrender, drown and immerse our pettiness, negativity, whatever feelings that we have toward one another in the love of Sri Radha Krishna. So I leave you with these thoughts. Radhe Radhe. बोलिए लाडली लाल की श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की जय जय श्री राधे जय जय श्री राधे जय जय